Hello and welcome to the Living Scary Podcast.
Podcast where we talk about real-to-real horror so you can live vicariously through us.
I have been talking about horror movies for 100 episodes, Logan, and I like to watch and talk about horror movies.
And I just want attention, McCall, and I like to talk about true crime and murder.
Yay!
Woo! 100 episodes!
Of course we want attention. Isn't that why we started this podcast?
Yeah. But this asshole really wanted attention.
Yes.
And he's a douche. The biggest douche you can be, really.
Here he is, the biggest douche in the universe.
I definitely sing that to myself all the time.
All the time. In all the galaxy, no one's a bigger douche than you. You've reached the top, the pinnacle of douchedom. Good going, douche. This one is for you.
I did not know all the words. I just sing that beginning part.
I do know all the words.
I do.
I don't know the ones. I do want to learn the ones from Drop Dead Gorgeous where he's like, here she is, our Miss Teen Princess. Doesn't she look fine?
Isn't she all right?
Yeah.
All right. So if you tuned in last week,
yes,
and I'm going to put these bitches out weekly because we have the two-parter. You would have heard Logan's top 10 best horror movies. Scariest?
It was
You'd
not
say
mine.
it. Say it.
So I compared Bravo's 100 Scariest Movie Moments from 2004 to last year. They did another 101 Scariest Movie Moments on Amazon Prime on Shudder. And I compared the two and saw where things matched up and if certain movies were moved to other places. And of course they were, because there's almost 20 years in between both videos. So
and like two more movies were made in that time.
At least ones that were worth our time.
I mean, Hereditary and some other one, I'm sure.
Get Out was on the list. I can't remember where it fit in. That was one I think I actually talked about it. I think we touched on it like at the end.
I don't think you ever mentioned Get Out.
But Get Out, it was on the list. I think it was like in the 20s or 30s. So it was pretty up there, but like I thought it could have been a little closer, because I'm sorry, the idea of being trapped in your own body, it's terrifying to me. The loss of control, I hate it.
You really do. You have a problem with that.
Yeah.
So much so that you wouldn't even watch Tusk.
Yeah.
Rude.
Terrify.
Honestly.
Oh, that's another one. I'm not watching Terrifier. I've heard that it is just a redunculous gore fest, and I have no interest in watching Terrifier 2.
Oh, the second one. I was like, you definitely did an episode on Terrifier?
Yeah, and it sucked. I'm sorry. It sucked. I hated it.
People really love that horror movie a lot.
And I don't understand why, other than the one thing I will give that movie. The guy who does do Art the Clown, he's terrifying. He does it really good. This is no knock at you, sir. Like, you are doing fabulous. You're doing great, baby. You're terrifying. You're a classically trained mime, so you know how to maneuver your body to be the most terrifying. And it is. So I'm not sitting here saying that he's bad. I'm saying that it's unfortunate that there's no real story that goes along with these movies.
All I know is that lady gets sawed in half, cooch first, and I'm not here for that. I don't know.
In the new one, there's like a really drawn out torture scene, it sounds like. And it just I heard I would describe it. I was like, this is just getting to the point where it's like, I'm like, okay, I'd be bored by the end. I'd be like, just kill her, God.
Jesus.
Don't kick her, Sharkeisha.
Don't kick her, Sharkeisha.
Like, it's like, yeah, at this point, I'm just like, I'm annoyed at this point.
Put the poor girl out of her misery.
And it's, you're pouring bleach on her back that you cut up. Okay, who cares? Oh, lemon juice now? Oh my God, who cares?
That's too much. That's so much.
I still might watch it just because.
Fine, you got me.
Twist my arm, blackmail, and I'll probably watch Tusk eventually. Now that I know what it's about. It is. I'm one of those people that's like, I'm not a spoilers person. I actually will actively spoil movies for myself.
You do.
Because otherwise I will go in with too much anxiety. Because I will find characters I like, and I'm just so scared. And so if I go in knowing like, okay, this character's going to die, so I don't have to worry about, like,
I'm not going to get attached. I don't really care.
I can have a reasonable amount of attachment to this character.
Yes. sometimes when I watch movies and I know somebody's gonna die, not because I looked ahead of time, but like sometimes you just get the vibe, you know?
Yeah.
I'll like laugh when they die because because I'm not well adjusted as a person and I'm like, see, it's fine. I'm fine. That didn't affect me at all. When on the inside, I'm like,
single tear going down the cheek. You know what movie I did not spoil for myself at all that I saw this weekend? Barbie. Barbarina.
I want to see Barbie so bad.
I really enjoyed it. I don't know if our folks would like it.
Oh, all right.
I think we will like it. Yeah.
Yes.
And I'm not going to lie, it's kind of a hard movie to talk about because it's not like I can't talk about it without giving away spoilers, really.
Don't you dare. I don't know anything other than like the basics.
And that's what this movie did a glorious job of in the trailers, is not giving away anything that this movie was about.
And yet making it look so good. Like just a fun time. Maybe something deep later.
What I will say is I'm not going to give you specifics, but I will say it gets a lot heavier than you anticipate in a Barbie movie.
Than a movie about Barbie. When they make the Polly Pocket movie, you better watch out.
Oh, I will be there. I will be Miss Pollyann Pocket.
Somebody posted a picture of a bunch of Polly Pocket shoes. And they were like, this is the popcorn that you bring into the Barbie movie. You're like, were people eating those?
I loved those shoes. And they were more than Barbie shoes. Those Polly Pocket little rubbery bastards were the hardest shoes to keep track of.
Oh my God, they were gone. Well, Zeus, our dog, was probably eating them like candy. I mean,
I appreciate the fact that we did not waste the Barbies and the Polly Pockets that had been chewed upon, whether by dog or by you.
But Barbie feet, they just slapped. I don't know what to tell you. They had the perfect amount of rubber.
It wasn't just the feet. It was especially the feet, but you also chewed the hands.
I chewed the hands.
Yeah, you chewed the hands. I had to like fight to keep a nice Barbie. I was like, oh, this will be... I remember being like, this is the one I will play with.
This is my nice Barbie.
Sure, yeah.
You ruined the others. I remember I had one, she was my favorite, and then her head popped off, and then Mom's like, it's not a big deal, you just stick it back on. And I'm like, now she looks like a regular person. I hate the proportions.
Well, because fun facts, because there is like a little ball in her head that allows her to do the swivelly thing. And that's another kind of ASMR video I watched. I watch people restoring dolls, like restoring old Barbie dolls. And I love dolls.
That's scary.
But like they restore like these old like vintage Barbie dolls. They'll pop their heads off. They'll scoop out all the hair. And then they'll put new hair in and they'll style them. And they'll like Princess Annika from like one of the Barbie movies. I think it's a Barbie on Swan Lake. No, Barbie on Swan Lake would be Odette. But anyway,
of course,
with a whole new head of hair, just looking fierce. Like,
wait, is it the Sisters Dancing movie? The Sevens, that one?
Maybe.
Oh my God.
I don't know. But like another thing they'll sometimes do is if the makeup's especially fucked up, they'll take like acetone nail polish remover and wipe off the makeup and repaint on their faces.
That's so fun. I love
it is
that.
Really cool. It's really cool to see what people do. Mm-hmm.
Oh, all right. Well, I'm definitely going to watch that movie. Not going to watch Oppenheimer.
There are two Barbie outfits that I remember that were my favorites, the ones that you had. One was like, and you had a pink one, you had a green one where they had these little like death-defyingly short mini dresses that literally bend over pussy out. Like,
yes.
And they had matching pink and green shoes. I loved those ones. They were like velvet or something like that, the dresses. They were like so short. I loved both of those ones. And then there was also this one that was like this tartan mini, like it was like a tartan outfit, top to bottom. It was like purple, green, and black. And it had like, it again was like death-defyingly short. Like there's no way someone would walk out. And then it came with a matching beret with a little like purple poof.
What? I don't remember any of this shit.
And those are my two favorites. And I do remember Limber Barbie.
Limber Barbie.
I remember her outfit was like, it was like overalls and then like a stripy crop top and then white sneakers. I cared about your Barbies more than you did.
Right? I just like their feet.
I was like, please. Shangri-La.
I'm in the corner going like, yang, 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 yang.
Rubbing them on the fireplace.
Melting their faces off. Jesus Christ. I was
Torture
a serial
play.
killer. Oh.
Speaking of, would you like to talk about... So, like we said, last week was our part 1, where I talked pretty much the whole time. And I talked about those things. And now it is McCall's turn to talk about something. And McCall, would you like to kind of talk about the background of choosing your option and that kind of stuff?
So, I was like, I'm going to do... Because it's going to be a whole episode where I talk about something. So I was like, I'm going to do a big douchebag. I'm going to do a serial killer that's got a lot of history, so I can just really lay it out for you. And I posted a poll, and people could vote on ones that I haven't done yet, because I've actually done like a lot. So I posted a bunch of heavy hitters that I thought were like pretty well known. I asked Brendan about a couple of them, and he didn't know who they were, but that's, because not a lot of people keep track of things that I keep track of. But the options were
Ted Bundy, Ed Kemper,
BTK,
and
Jack the Ripper. Yes. Jack the Ripper had an early lead.
Well, because Jack the Ripper I always think of it like in oldie days. Yeah. It actually is a lot more recent than I thought it was. Still a long time ago, but a lot more recent than I thought it was.
Okay.
I thought it was like in motherfucking Victorian ass England with like kings and queens and shit. Like Sweeney Todd. Like
I'm thinking like Sherlock Holmes era.
Yeah.
That's right?
That's what I was thinking.
Oh. Is that not right?
I don't know. When was Sherlock Holmes written?
Spoiler alert, I didn't do Jack the Ripper.
Yeah, spoiler, we did not. We'll do it eventually, I'm sure.
Oh, yeah. But Jack the Ripper had an early lead, but BTK beat him out. So I'm doing BTK. Have you ever heard of BTK?
Burger Time King.
Burger Time King. That's it.
No.
You've never heard of BTK?
No. The initials sound familiar. I don't know. Wow.
Okay.
Also, Sherlock Holmes came out in 1887. So actually, that is pretty close to when Jack the Ripper happened, wasn't it? No, but I'm like thinking I was thinking it was like further back.
Like Shakespeare?
Yeah. No, like.
What time period? What? Where are you?
What I'm getting at is I didn't realize that kind of. I don't know if that's Victorian or if it's Edwardian in that. I didn't realize that time period was like the 1887. Like I thought that was like 1840 something.
Bro, I don't know a lot. I think of time as like a vibe. Like what's my feeling when I think of that time? And that's where I go. Okay, I don't use numbers or anything like that. Perfect.
No, definitely get the vibe. Anyway,
BTK, which I also told Brendan about, and he's like, I don't know who that is. And I'm like, what? You guys living under a rock?
The name sounds familiar.
Honestly, good. Forget him. No one needs to think about this asshole, because that's all he wanted was for people to think about him and talk about him and, oh, he's so scary. He's actually just a pussy bitch.
I just think about him now every time I eat Burger King and I shit it out later.
You're like, oh, that's what he looks like.
Mm-hmm.
He's
a piece of shit.
He's a piece of shit. I got my information from Wikipedia for the base. Born to Kill documentary by Real Crime. And I re-listened to the last podcast on the left. They did a 2-part episode on it, which I'd already listened to. But let's start out. So, Dennis Lynn Rader. Yes, his middle name is Lynn, which I think is super funny. Like, that's not a boy name, right?
I can't think of anyone, but
Lynn.
Lynn, like Lynn?
Lynn. Lynn.
I don't know.
Linda. I read that.
Linda?
Like Lynn. Like, I read Lynn and I'm like, that can't be right. Like, There's a no way.
How do you think Linda is spelled?
It could be spelled any which way you want it to be spelled.
It could be spelled XYZ.
I'm going to have a daughter, and I'm going to name her Linda, and I'm going to spell it just like dog shit.
You're just going to say dog shit, and it's pronounced Linda.
It's pronounced Linda. My mom fucking sucks.
My mom wanted me to have a terrible life.
She was trying to prove a point or something. So he was born March 9th, 1945 in Kansas. His parents were Dorothea May Rader and William Elvin Rader.
I always think when you talk about like the parents and stuff,
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, I just think to myself, God, don't you think the mom, like looking back and like seeing what her kid did, don't you think that she wishes that she swallowed?
I bet you she did. I mean, I'd try to kill him myself. Like,
yeah. Oh my God. Like if you knew that your child was going to commit these grand atrocities, would you just like see him in the cradle and just be like, put it over?
No, see, I'm thinking like courtroom later, like you're sitting in the courtroom and he's like, yeah, I did it, everybody. And you go up like he's been sentenced. And I assume that you're allowed to hug them. And you just go up with a knife and you're like, no, I'm just going to hug my...
No, don't even worry about it. Shh.
I'm taking you out.
I brought you into this world.
I'd whisper that into his ear as I get pulled away by guards.
Happy birthday.
But no, yeah, this poor woman, I'm sure, is not happy. He's the oldest of 3 brothers. And he had a pretty normal childhood, which is odd.
Those are the ones that always spook me, is when you're like, it just came out of nowhere.
Yeah, usually, like, I feel a certain amount of, like, yeah, I mean, his parents, I don't know, molested him and made him kill dogs for sport or something. Like, something that explains it later, and you're like, yeah, no shit, he's gonna be fucked up. No, his parents were normal, nice parents, I think, that they never did anything of note in any of the stuff I read that would be like, no, yeah, of course he's fucked up. They worked a lot, I guess. Rader mentioned before that he felt especially ignored by his mother, but I think that's just some crybaby bullshit. I think she just had a normal 9-to-5 job, and he was like, she's not around.
It's like, it sounds like a baby back bitch.
Yeah, I think he just wants attention. He lived in a nice neighborhood.
So he had siblings, right?
He had 3 younger brothers.
Younger, so he's the eldest.
He's the elder male. It was a good neighborhood. The documentary I watched had someone who grew up with him in his neighborhood. And they were like, yeah, we'd go fishing. I got a southern accent for this part. We'd go to the creek and catch crawdads. I don't know what kids do.
I don't know what kids in the South do.
But like,
we only know our Midwestern way of living,
which was sitting in our garage playing Yu-Gi-Oh on a card table. Because our parents told us to go outside.
So we just picked up the activity we were doing inside and moved it outside.
And our parents said, good enough.
They said, see effort.
So everyone was like, yeah, he was just a quiet kid, like no big deal. So looking from the outside, no one gives a shit about little Dennis. When you come from the inside, Dennis is like, I don't know how nobody knew that I was fucked up. Because he is like, he's killing animals. Like that whole shtick. He's binding
that old chestnut.
Yeah. He's binding himself up with ropes and like jerking it. He's watching women undress in the bushes at night. Yeah, he's doing all the shit that is like, oh my God. Like they were talking about how kids would go fishing and he would like kill turtles. And they're like, and he wouldn't normal kill a turtle. He'd like hang it. What's
the normal kill a turtle?
I don't really know.
I don't think most kids think about... I think most kids, when they see a turtle, they go, oh my God, a turtle.
Oh, a turtle. No, Dennis was like, I'm going to make a little turtle noose and I'm going to hang it. And all the other kids are like, weird, we came to fish. So, yeah, I mean, I think he did have some troublesome signs.
And literally everyone ignored it. So maybe he was kind of right.
Yeah, everyone was like, yeah, whatever, he's quiet. So that's not good.
No.
Let's see. He did have fantasies about torturing and killing women. At 11, I don't super get. I don't know. Okay, so he's 11 years old. A teacher at school humiliates him. I don't know how. I don't know how you humiliate an 11-year-old boy. He gets.
There's actually a lot of things you can do to humiliate an 11-year-old boy. Yeah.
I'm sure this 11-year-old boy was pretty quick to anger as well. So probably pretty easy to do. He got really mad and he did what any kid would do. And he went to her house and watched her through the window that night. And for some reason, he had like a rope with him and he tied it really tight around his waist. And he just jizzed his pants. And one of the people in the documentary was like, this is a very bad, formative kind of thing that's connecting.
This is a terrible, horrible, not good, very bad thing.
This is not good. Like, so now he has this weird connector between watching a woman feeling power over a person because you're like watching them from the shadows. And he's got like,
was she doing something?
I think she was just like sitting in her house. She's probably like picking her nose or something. And he just loved watching her. I don't really know, but he's got a thing now. That's his vibe. He also would steal clothes from women and like then watch them through the window while also wearing the clothes he stole from them, and he'd like jerk off. And
I guess you're going to miss the panty raid.
Yeah, he did that.
Which, looking back, is a fucked up thing for a SpongeBob episode to do.
It was fucked up.
But it was hilarious.
Yes. This was not so hilarious.
This was not.
So, no one is noticing this behavior.
Because they all must just be oblivious.
I'm sure half the stuff you can chalk up to at that point, like, oh, boys will be boys. Boys will kill turtles.
What year was this again?
19. Well, this is like oh my gosh. Well, he was born in 45.
Okay, this is like the 50s.
Yeah.
They knew nothing. They didn't have balloons in the 50s. They didn't get that until at least the 70s.
Did you look it up, or are you just
No, I'm making a callback to a previous episode about how people have not had anything except for in the last 20 years since I've been alive. 30 years. Oh my god, fucking Evil Queen in Disney where she's like turning old. Like I remember I'm 30 and I'm like, ah! But anyway, I was making a joke.
I thought, because this happened previously, I thought that you looked it up and were giving me new information.
No, I was not giving you information.
No, we're still clueless. Okay.
Well, yeah. So, no. Well, Mom told us that they definitely did.
No, I know, but like, when were balloons invented, though?
That I can look up.
Okay,
but
cool.
No, but I was just making a joke about how, like, okay, since the 50s, when he's like a kid to teen.
Yeah. No one gives a shit about anything kids do.
Those kids had no rights. The parents probably did not pay attention to them in the same way that our parents paid attention.
No. They were like off doing their own thing, and they were allowed to go outside and stalk women. Like, no parent gave a shit. So he graduates from high school.
Balloons were first invented in 1824, so they definitely had them.
They had them for a minute. All right, well, that checks a lot of boxes for me. Now I know a lot about balloons. He went to college at first.
They've had them at least for over 100 years.
Oh, at least.
A bare minimum.
He went to college, didn't go so well, so then he went into the Air Force. Then he got discharged, came back to Kansas, and started working in the meat department of a supermarket.
Wait. So he said college. He said college was too hard. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to go into the military.
Yeah. That's like, going to be a cakewalk.
Yeah, that's the move.
Maybe he needed structure. I don't really know. No one really talks about his time in the Air Force, so I think nothing happened. So
I mean, clearly something happened to get him discharged. Was he honorably discharged or dishonorably discharged?
I think it just says he was discharged. So he was in it from 1966 to 1970.
Okay, yeah, probably nothing happened.
Yeah, I don't know how long people like stay usually.
Because probably in that time, like from the 60s and 70s, there probably weren't women in the military.
I thought you were just going to say women.
No, there weren't women. They didn't have those in the 70s.
Women didn't exist.
Women actually were a recent invention. No,
little known fact.
Fun fact. No, but what I was going to say is like, I think I don't know the exact dates, like when women were allowed in the military, and like at this point, like it was probably mostly men, and it sounds like women were his targets. So it's like maybe he was able to kind of put that on the back burner? Question mark.
He has a really weird ability to just compartmentalize his life, and he takes long hiatuses a lot.
I was wrong again. I need to fact check myself again. Women have been allowed in the ever since 1948. President Harry S. Truman signed the Women's Armed Service Integration Act, allowing women to receive regular permanent status in the armed forces.
Cool.
Which by then included the Air Force. So maybe there were women then.
There were women tromping all up and down. Looking I was
trying to come up with an idea of why nothing happened.
Well, nothing has happened yet, other than stalking women and watching them in the window. But
and killing animals.
But there's a big jump between watching someone and straight up murdering someone.
Very true.
So hasn't done anything. Okay, he has done many bad things, but he hasn't done anything overtly go to jail many years, do not pass go kind of way. Especially in the 70s, I think they would probably think it's funny that he was watching women in the night. I don't think they gave a shit.
I agree. I think they probably would have been like, oh, boys will be boys, especially depending on his age.
Yeah.
There is an age cap for that. It's like once you start looking like an adult, so depending on how swarthy you are as a kid, that probably ends around 16.
Yeah.
I started growing facial hair around then, and I was like, okay, well, that's all.
I gotta stop watching women, I guess.
I gotta stop stalking people, I guess.
I guess I gotta be gay.
I guess I gotta be gay. No, I remember being 15, 16. I remember people because I was able to grow enough facial hair, they'd be like, oh, if you came up and ordered a beer, I would have given it to you, or asked for a beer, I would have given it to you. I'm like, that's very kind. I don't think you would have, but that's very kind of you.
But thanks.
And I feel like that's a compliment that only goes to men, because women usually I don't know. I don't know how I would take it, because I don't take being commented on my age very well now.
I don't love it. No, I haven't been really asked for my card recently when ordering a beverage at an establishment or buying a pack of beer or whatever. They'll just be like, oh yeah, can I get your credit card? And I'm like, oh, but don't you need to see my license? Don't you need to just double check that I'm not 21? So he married. I've been trying to say that he married Paula.
Go. I'm sorry. There's part of me that feels like I can interrupt more because it's all your whole section.
I can say whatever I want.
Well, no, because because I don't have to be conscious about our time as much.
Fair.
We can have this time to kind of shoot the shit a little bit.
Yeah, I'm so sorry. Yeah, get all of your shit shooting out now before I start talking about the mortars.
Yeah, because it's gonna get real dork real quick, and I would like to have as much humor as possible in my body before the vitriol happens.
The other shoe's gonna drop, and then I will never stop talking, probably, because you'll be sad.
Yeah, because I will be sad. So just take solace now that I'm cheerful and happy, because it will change quickly.
Going downhill.
I took a nice long walk today, and I'm feeling good.
Feeling that sunshine.
Yes, it was hot as shit.
It's hot. It's hot.
98 degrees on my walk. I didn't take Stella with me because I was like, I don't want you to die.
I love you too much. I love her so much.
I do too. So Paula.
He married Paula in May of 1971. They have 2 children, Carrie and Brian. And so he's like doing his own thing. He gets a shit ton of different jobs. I will pepper this knowledge. I have it all in one little paragraph, but now I'm realizing that like timeline wise, it happens interspersed with the murders. So, I think at this time he's either still working in the meat department at the supermarket, or he does start installing security systems. Actually, never mind. He is installing security alarms for ADT Security Services, which reminds me of Barbarian, when that guy pretends to be like a workman, and he's like, "Oh, I'm here to help. I'm here to fix your thing."
To scout the house.
Yeah. Or like, did you ever watch Mindhunter on Netflix? It's like that. They have a guy, I think he was supposed to be BTK. Spoiler alert, I never watched the rest of Mindhunter, so I didn't get that far. But they had it was so fucking boring. Like, show me someone who likes that show and explain to me why it's good. Other than Ed Kemper, you can't say Ed Kemper. You have to say any other part of the goddamn show. And I meant the actor, not the actual murderer. Sorry.
Yeah, no, yeah.
To be clear, the actor did a good job. Yeah. The murderer is bad.
Ed Kemper, bad. Actor who played him, good.
He did such a good job. Okay, so he is now doing his thing, being a working man, has 2 kids, has a wife, and he's like, time to start murdering. And it's 1974.
Looks at the camera. Time to start.
Let's do it.
It's showtime.
It's Wichita, Kansas. It is a nice area. Like, picture yourself. I don't know what time of year this happens. Oh, it's January, so I don't actually know how cold it gets there, but it's like a nice day. It's like the afternoon when the sun is out and things are safe.
When the sun is blazing and the summer gets hot.
In January. But January 15th, 1974, I don't know why Dennis picks his victims, but it sounds like he saw Julie Otero, who's 33, at the supermarket or wherever the fuck he was. He saw her and was like, I'm gonna follow you now forever until I kill you. So he started following her. And she has a husband named Joseph Otero. He's 38. She actually has a lot of kids. They just moved into this neighborhood. It's a big family. But she is home with her husband, her, and then her children, Joseph Otero Jr., who's 9, and Josephine Otero, who is 11. I don't really know how he gets into the house. Oh, yeah, one of my other sources is I just watched, you can watch his confession in court. It's like 44 minutes long. I watched like 10 to 15 minutes of it before I just shut it off because it's hard to watch. But, so he basically just breaks in and has a gun. He also cuts the phone lines. And this is 1974, so there are no cell phones, nothing like that. I think he finds Julie, the mom, has the gun. He has an opening line that he tells everybody, which is, I have a sexual problem. I just want to rob you. I might do some other weird shit. I don't know exactly how like the whole pitch goes, but I know it starts with, I have a sexual problem. He tells them he's going to rob them. And then, I'm not going to kill you. I just need to do what I need to do, and I'm going to leave. So, usually, especially when your children are present, people tend to be like, okay, as long as you're not going to kill me or my children, I'll let you do your thing, and I don't know, I guess I'll do what you say. So he kind of splits everybody up. He kills Joseph first, the dad. And it's important to note that he did not think Joseph was going to be there. This whole first one is like a total fuck up. He screws up the entire thing. He is so lucky he doesn't get caught. He should have gotten caught in this first one. But so what he does, so he's strangling everybody, but he puts a plastic bag over your head, and then he puts a pillowcase over your head, and then he wraps some kind of ligature to strangle you. And the thought is you can't break through the pillowcase to rip off the plastic, so you're slowly suffocating. But he doesn't let you die. He keeps like almost suffocating you to death, and then he'll like release, and then the people kind of like can get enough breath to kind of come back, which I don't know if he's doing on purpose or if he's doing because he's never done it before. But a couple times he thinks people are dead, and then they're like up and at him and walking around, and he's like, oh fuck. But he kills both parents. He strangles them first. He then strangles Joseph Jr. And then Josephine is one of the ones that he thought he strangled. She gets back up, and he takes her to the basement and he hangs her. Which I don't, he leaves. The police find this scene and they are like, holy shit. And they don't know what to do. I mean, at this point, like the FBI is kind of in the midst of their whole like finding serial killers thing, but they don't know that he's a serial killer yet. They just think this is some kind of ritualistic killing.
The science of it was still like in its burgeoning phases at this point, right?
Yes. And
behind,
this
like,
is the first
identifying
one.
Serial killers.
Mm-hmm. So they don't know. I don't know what they fucking thought, other than just some crazy son of a bitch came in, cut the phone lines. Like, a lot of this is, even though he screwed up so much, a lot of it is really premeditated and planned out, which is why it's so scary. He then goes on to kill 3 more women from 1974 to 1977. Catherine Bright is killed in April of 1974. She is the second victim. Well, okay, technically the whole family is the first through fourth victims, but she's the second, like, murder case. This one's also really bungled because she comes home, he's been watching her, he'll pick someone and, like, get to know their whole schedule. He'll follow them around for months and, like, take copious notes, know exactly what he's gonna do. But I don't know why this one was slightly different. She comes home during the day with her brother. And so he's already broken into the house. He's already cut the phone lines. He's basically just sitting and waiting for her to come home so he can attack her. But her brother comes in and he's like, oh shit. So he has a gun. He says that I have a sexual problem line, tries to get them to tie each other up. The brother
I have a sexual problem line?
Yeah, wait, what?
The I have a sexual problem line?
Yeah, he always, that's the line he always says.
I'm not familiar.
I just said, I had a whole thing with did you dissociate?
No, run it by me again.
Every time he starts a murder, he'll come in and he'll say, I have a sexual problem. I'm going to rob you. Probably
That's right. Yep. No,
Jesus Christ. Okay.
I'm sorry. It's been a very taxing few days for me. Like, so I'm sorry.
I'm glad this is topping it off. It's a really fun way to spend your Wednesday.
It is, because I'm with you.
Yay. I'm sorry. It's going to get sad.
I know. It's okay.
Honestly,
so, like, sorry. It's like, I've been a little all over the place the last few days.
Honestly, for me, the hardest one's the family in the beginning, because of the 9-year-old and the 11-year-old. It's really bad. I mean, they're all really bad, but that one's really rough for me. I watched the documentary and I closed my computer and I was like, why do I do this? What am I doing? I missed. Oh shit! That episode's. We did it for the future, so I haven't done it yet. But our next episode, the crime I talk in that one, that's a blast. I had so much fun.
We had a great time with that one because really nobody got hurt except for corporations and fuck corporations.
Honestly, robbers are where it's at. I can't believe the true crime community isn't talking more about serial robbers.
Because those people are stealing from they are the Robin Hoods of our age. As long as they're not killing the workers, because the workers don't deserve it.
They don't. So Catherine Bright, back to her. They are tying each other up. The brother gets free and BTK shoots him. And then he goes down. And he's like, okay, now I can focus on the sister. And he ties her up and he's strangling her. And it's not going well. I think there's a lot of issues because the brother, who has now been shot in the fucking head, wakes back up, disoriented, and he gets shot in the head again and proceeds to also be totally fine and run out of the house screaming like the Terminator being shot and being fine. So he gets shot twice in the fucking face. He's out in the street being like, ah! And so BTK, I think, is rushed and he stabs Catherine and runs away. He escapes in the time it takes for a man who's bleeding from wounds on his face to flag down the cops. He was really sloppy, but the brother couldn't give too much identifying information because he got shot in the face twice. So he's like,
forgive me for having been blown apart.
I don't remember a lot based on these holes in my brain.
Just call me motherfucking Napoleon blown apart, but forgive me for not remembering who shot me twice.
He's like, all I know is the guy was white. That's all I got, which honestly is the best descriptor for Dennis Rader because he has no characteristics other than just being a guy. Like, honestly, if you show me a picture of him, I'd be like, yeah, that's some dude. That's the most average man in the world. He could be anyone. That was his superpower, was being so ordinary. So the Oteros have now been murdered. Catherine Knight's been murdered. The police have not.
Oh. I do know this guy.
You know this guy? How do you know this guy?
I do know the BTK killer.
How did you know this?
Because he was in a Lazy Masquerade video.
Ah, there it is. So,
he comes up again.
He's everywhere in our videos. We should have a sponsorship deal.
Yeah, he's got Raycon.
Dang, I wish we had Raycon.
He's got Raycon and Stamps.com.
Damn it. I would kill for...
Green Chef. I will...
Green Chef?
Green Chef.
Is it green?
Food.
No, that's not what it's called.
Green Chef.
Pampered Chef.
There's Pampered Chef. There's also Martha
dogs?
Stewart.
Is that for dog food?
Wait, Pampered Chef. Wait, Pampered Chef is... I think that's cat food.
That's cat food. Okay, wait.
What's Green Chef?
That feels like not a thing at all I've ever heard of.
That's like a big one.
Green Chef. Oh, well, motherfucker.
It's like a meal delivery service.
Wow. I always hear about the other one that I can't think of the name right now, but I swear to God it exists.
The Martha Stewart one?
No, the one that every fucking podcaster talks about.
The podcasters I listen to talk about Green Chef.
Green Chef? They're meal kits. They're the same thing. Oh
well, Green Chef, the reason it's Green Chef is because Green Chef is like they reduce their carbon emissions and stuff, and all their stuff is
HelloFresh. That's what it is.
Oh, HelloFresh.
Jesus Christ.
No, you're right. That sounds familiar.
All right, well, no one's sponsoring us, so I don't want you guys to buy anything. Don't be consumers.
Until we tell you, and then you can do it.
Say.
And then once we get that sick, nasty Raycon money, you better buy the Raycons.
You better use our promo code like your life depends on it.
We get a Manscaped deal. You better buzz your junk so fucking close.
I want a Me Undies deal because I want free undies. So, or HelloFresh. I take free meals. Honestly, I am a whore for any kind of like sponsorship deal. You just gotta give me free shit.
I like the idea of Green Chef because Green Chef, they send you the instructions, but you still have to cook it. So I like the idea of being a better cook, like learning how to be a better cook because then you can also keep the recipes, and then you have to go to the grocery store and buy the food at the grocery store, and you can make the recipes over and over again.
Aha. Now you're trying to one-up Green Chef. Take their stuff, take their knowledge, never use them again.
Get like a good 10 recipes, repeat, rotate.
Yeah. Promo code grocery store. I don't give a shit.
Promo code Cub Foods. We're never going to get a sponsorship.
Anyway, back to BTK.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I needed a moment of levity.
I needed to not talk about this. So, the news starts to report on everything going on. The police have not connected it because they are very different crimes. One is an entire family getting killed, and one is just a lady and her brother getting shot. Like, it's very weird. Also, 3 other guys, kind of confess to killing the Otero family, and the news starts reporting on it. And Dennis Rader is like, no. I killed those people. I want people to talk about me. So he sends...
It is weird how people will do those false confessions.
I do not get it at all.
It's like they want their 15 minutes, but I'm like, why would you want 15 minutes for something that heinous?
It's awful. And also you're going to go to jail if people believe you.
Yeah. I don't understand the game plan here.
It's not worth it. I've never been to jail, but I can just assume it's not worth it.
And also, if the police are worth their salt, they'll be able to prove that you were not the one by inquiring about certain details about the crimes.
And you wasted everybody's time.
Yeah, and you gave only a bigger window for the killer to kill more people.
But this killer...
Stop it.
Stop it, you guys. This killer was like, nah. He sent a letter to the news and was like, hello, the media.
The media.
He's like,
what
I
was
did
that
it.
From again?
That was from Bob's Burgers.
Hello, the media.
It's in the first episode when he talks about Hugo calls the...
Oh, yes, that's right.
About the restaurant selling human remains.
The media.
So he sends a letter to the news, and the news is like, I don't care about you at all. And they do nothing about it. So now... It is March 17th, 1977. Shirley Vane Relford. So this is 3 years later, after the killing of Catherine Bright. So it's been some time. Shirley is a single mom. She is at home with her children. She has multiple, I don't know how many. BTK does his same thing that he did with the Otero family, which is cut the phone lines, break into the house, say he's got a sexual problem. He's like, I'm going to take the mom. You put the kids in another room. I'm going to do my thing. Everyone's going to survive. Don't even worry about it. She puts the kids in the other room. He definitely kills her. And the kids hear this. They're locked in, I want to say a bathroom, but I don't know exactly where. The oldest sibling, I don't know how old they are either, but they figure out oh, this is really bad. We have to go. And they jimmy a window open and they get all the kids out and they get out of the house. They go to, I guess, a neighbor and they're like, something's happening. And BTK gets out of there before the police arrive. The BTK was like, I was definitely going to kill those kids after I got done with the mom. Like, that was my next stop, was pretty much doing exactly what he did with the Otero family. Now we are December 1977. This is the murder of Nancy Fox. Same thing. He breaks in, cuts the phone lines, and he sits and waits for her. He strangles her. He does the whole strangles her enough where she is almost dead, then waits, and then she comes back to life, and then he strangles her a bunch again. So he does that for very long periods of time. He likes to call this one of his perfect murders because he's a piece of shit. It's basically the one that he didn't make any huge mistakes like all of the others because he's a piece of shit. But he gets out of the house and he calls the police on a payphone to tell them where Nancy's body is, pretty much because he wants people to see what he's done because he's proud of it. And let's see. So now it's 1978. He killed her at the end of 1977, so probably a couple months later. He sends a letter to a TV station called Cake, K-A-K-E. And he talks about the murders and how he's the killer, and he goes into detail about all of these killings. And then he starts to, like, suggest nicknames for himself in the letter. And one of the nicknames is BTK, which stands for Bind, Torture, Kill. And, I mean, some of the other ones are just terrible. One is the Garrote Phantom, which is bad. But, like,
he sounds like someone's first D&D character.
He just wants attention, and then he also sends them a poem that he wrote about the murder of Nancy Fox, which is like a play off of an old folk poem, which is called, like, Oh, Death. But the poem is like...
Come spare me over for another day.
That one, yeah! But he does Oh, Death to Nancy, and, like, he does a whole thing. I've read it. It's bad. It's a bad poem. I don't know what to tell you.
Hey, if you want to hear actual Oh Death, but sung really cool and really awesome, it's the theme song for Until Dawn.
Oh, shit. Okay.
And they do it really cool. And then it's also the theme song for the Dark Anthology series, which is made by the people who did Until Dawn. Except that one's a little more like hard rock, whereas like the other one's a little, like the one for Until Dawn's a little more haunting.
Damn, I love Until Dawn. Also, I'm gonna piss my pants. We have to take a break.
Let's take a quick break.
Okay. And we're back. Okay. So, now the media is involved. They're actually talking about it. The FBI is getting all up in the business. The community's freaking out because they are like a community that's pretty small, very, like, low crime rate, not used to it. It's one of those, like, oh, we don't lock our doors at night communities.
Which I could never understand. I mean, of course, that's when I grew up, but it's like, I'm the person that goes around this apartment. I make sure everything is locked.
Yes, I also do that. But they now are in that mode, which is fun to think about. The people that are getting these new security systems put into their homes are getting it put in by the very same person that they are afraid of. So that's fun.
How convenient.
Yeah. The police are having a really hard time because he's really careful when he does his stuff, his later stuff. And something to take into account. He's doing these unhinged murders. On the flip side, he has a very normal family life. He is a Boy Scout leader. He is the president of the local Lutheran church. And he is, oh my God. He goes back to school, and he gets a degree in criminal justice, which I wonder why why would he do that?
To maybe learn what he can and can't do.
Pretty much, yeah. He is really smart. He thinks he's really smart. He's like, I'm going. I don't want to say he's really smart because he gets fucking caught. Spoiler alert, dumb fuck. But
he gets caught, and I know how he gets caught.
It's pretty embarrassing.
It's pretty embarrassing.
It's pretty bad. But yeah, so he gets his criminal justice degree. He learns all he can about serial killers, and it's very evident when you listen to his like confession trial thing, because he talks like so matter of fact about everything, and he brings up other serial killers, and he's like, I have this pathology that's like blah 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 blah. He uses a bunch of big words, and he just wants you to think he's smart and he knows what he's talking about.
So we watched Glass Onion,
yeah.
And what that sounds like to me, he sounds like the baddie from that who uses all the wrong words but just wants to be perceived as smart.
And I do.
And I will say that that is one of the moments where I was proud about my English degree and stuff. I was like,
that's not a word.
I was like, do you mean that word? Like I kept thinking that, and I was like, there's something about that. And then when it turned out what it was, I was like, oh, that's hilarious.
I noticed it a couple times, but I honestly just assumed I was wrong and was like, yeah, the writers of the show must have done their research, and maybe that is a word. They got me.
It was really good.
I actually really liked that. I liked the first one better, obviously, but
also the fact that Benoit Blanc is canonically either gay or bi. I don't know which one, but he is married to a man.
And it is Hugh Grant.
Who is Hugh Grant. And it is Hugh Grant.
Love it. So, blah, 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 blah. He's a douchebag. And he would do, like, special projects. What I think is happening, because he has long hiatuses from the killings, and he does these things that he calls special projects, which is just like choosing a person and like following them around and kind of like looking for the next victim. Not really choosing anybody yet, but like kind of like practicing being a freak. And let's see. The next person he picks is Anna Williams. In 1979, so this is about a year later, he killed the last person at the end of 1977. Anna Williams is 63 years old. I think it's important to note that his victims get much older as you go on. I think he realizes it's easier to kill older people than younger people.
And also, like, don't serial killers try to, like, hunt within their demographics? Like, he's older now, so he's probably...
Usually that's not really affected. They'll have...
I'm calling him
he's old.
I'm making...
They hunt within their
I'm trying to make fun of
race, usually. They'll, like, white people will hunt white people. It's mostly white men anyway, but whatever.
It's like, let's not get
there
into
have
that,
been other ones. I'm not saying it's only white people, but...
Yes, no, I'm sure if you looked into it, there have been other ones.
But yeah, most have like a type. And his is pretty much just any helpless person, and it helps if you're a woman. Like, kinda. But she's 63, and he stalks her for a really long time, gets really meticulous about it. He gets into her house, cuts her phone lines, sits in her closet, and he knows that she's at like a special, I think it's like a church function, and that she comes home at this time every night. But she meets some friends at the function, and they're like, come hang out at our place. And she goes over there, and she actually spends the night over there. And so he sits there and waits for her, and she doesn't show up, and he finally leaves. And so she gets home, and like, her phone lines have been cut, the windows have been broken, someone's obviously like been through her shit. And she calls the police, and they're like, yeah, you were almost like straight up killed by BTK. So good thing you didn't go home.
Yeah.
And he writes a whole poem about, it's like, Anna, why didn't you arrive or some dumb shit? Like, and he sends that to the news, and the news is like, can you please stop sending us your poetry?
Please.
Leave us alone. Marine Hedge is found in May of 1985, which is way later. At least
took a few years
6 years off. She is taken, so she's abducted, actually. He takes her, he murders her in a field. He actually digs a shallow...
He breaks his modus operandi.
He does... I don't really know what his deal is. He, like, does a different thing. He takes her to a field. He strangles her there. And he's in this field, and he's like, I'm going to take her to my church, because he's the president of the Lutheran Church. So he has the keys to this fucking church. He brings a dead body inside it. And then he, like, poses her in a bunch of very risque bondage positions in this church and takes photos of it. Which, like, one of the prosecutors talks about how they had to look at those photos, and they're like, it was really messed up because you can see where she is, and it's very evident that he's taking these photos in a church. Which, like, begs the question, wouldn't they look into, like, what church these photos were I guess they didn't have the photos yet. So, maybe that's fine. So, he photographs her, and then, he also, like, had shit, like, to get rid of the body at the church, and then he just dumps her body in a ditch. And then and she also, so he's he's a Boy Scout leader or whatever. So he took his son's Boy Scout camp to camp somewhere, and then at like 1 a.m., he gets up, goes and abducts Maureen, goes through all of this shit, kind of so he has an alibi, probably a little bit for like the thrill of doing it under his kid's nose, I think. Another freaky thing that he does is he takes a bunch of photographs of himself in women's clothing. He binds himself all up. He does the whole binding shit. And he puts on a little plastic woman mask. Like, picture what blow-up dolls' faces look like. Turn it plastic and then put it on a 40-year-old man's face. And, like, then he just poses for this. I don't know how the fuck he takes the pictures either. Like, he must have, like, a crazy...
He must have had a delay.
He has a timer set up, and then he takes a photo in the shot.
Did they have that in the 80s?
I don't know. I don't know how he fucking does it. He's also tied up the whole time. He takes pictures in the shallow grave that he dug for Maureen. So he's, like, reenacting all of his shit. And wearing a terrifying lady mask. And he keeps all these photos. Again, it's the 80s. Who developed these photos? Can we all just think about that for 5 seconds? Can you do that yourself in your own home? Or did he go to, like, a Walgreens?
Well, I mean, a 24-hour photo. No, I think if you have the ability, you can develop those yourself.
I guess
if you have the specific type of camera, it could have been just like a Polaroid camera at that point, because Polaroids were popular then, right?
I have no idea.
I mean, apparently they have a delayed camera shutter, so... Or
he had some kind of long stick
like a button
to click it from far away. I don't know.
He had a selfie stick?
Pretty much. So he's got all these... He has now these pictures of Maureen, and he also has these pictures of him. He goes on to kill Vicky Wengerly in 1986. This one is upsetting because she has her 2-year-old kid with her at the time. He kills her in front of the kid. The husband comes home. and like finds her body. It's really upsetting. Dolores Davis is the final victim. She's murdered in 1991. Same MO. And then
wow, he did this for a long time.
And they never really found, I mean, his MO did kind of change every time. But I don't know. He did some sloppy shit. He took like, all these trophies.
Almost 30 years.
Yeah. Actually, so the case goes cold. The police can't find anything. They can't link it to anyone. Skip forward to like 2004.
Really?
Mm-hmm. Oh my god. And like, yeah, if you look at old documentaries from like the early 2000s about BTK, they're like, and no one knows where he is. Like, ended on that fucking note. That documentary would scare the shit out of me.
Yeah. It's like those horror movies that were like based on true events.
And then you're like, how true though?
Yeah.
How much did you? So I think some news thing was running a story of like 30 years since the Otero killings, and BTK, it like catches his eye and he's like, oh yeah, I used to kill people. I should talk to the media about that. And then he starts talking to the media again.
And they're like, oh my god, we thought we got rid of you.
One thing to talk about. So he has a bunch of different jobs during his life. He was putting in those security systems and everything. But one other job that he gets in 1991, which is the year of the last murder, he becomes, oh my gosh, what the hell is it called? Like a compliance officer, which is basically a dog catcher for this area. Either this like neighborhood apartment complex.
Sorry,
you yawned and I yawned. So he becomes this like pseudo policeman kind of law enforcement role, and I think he gets a lot of jollies out of.
He gets like power.
Yeah, I think there are many stories about him doing this job and people being like, he's crazy. Like he's going.
This is where I know. This point is like the information
He's going up to lawns and he's like measuring the grass with like a ruler to see if it's in compliance. If it's not, he'll write you a ticket. There's a story of a woman kind of towards the end of this hiatus when he's kind of ramping up again. She's a younger woman kind of fitting in his target, and she has a dog, and he is obsessed about her and her dog, and he's like, you gotta do this. He's giving her a bunch of tickets. He can't like leave her alone. And she gets a boyfriend and he's like, you gotta get rid of your boyfriend. And finally, she comes home one day and her dog's not there. And she calls animal control, and animal control's like, well, someone did bring in that dog and they did have it put down. So BTK broke in, stole her dog, and then killed it as like a weird manipulation controlling thing. Because
and the way I would have ended his whole life, I would have taken him to court. I would have
there's another story of a woman.
He wouldn't have gotten to jail because of the murders. He would have gotten to jail because I would have shite on his whole life.
Yeah, there's another one where like a woman, her dog, something about a leash law, and she got like multiple tickets about it, and so she went to court to fight it. And the amount of like evidence and time he poured into this case, like there's a lawyer on one of the documentaries and they're like, I've never seen anything like it. Like this never happens. He was obsessed with this control. So he has this dog catcher job. He also has his treehouse, which I don't know how old his kids are.
Never a good thing to
No,
have.
I don't know how old his kids are when he builds this fucking treehouse, but
They're like in college.
it's like Daddy's treehouse because it's not like they can't. I would assume they can't go in it because he builds this treehouse, and the neighbors will see him, a grown man, shimmy up the tree, and there are like, it is just troves and troves of his trophies that he's taken from victims. He's got driver's license stuff. He's got jewelry. He's got old creepy crime magazines, and they always have like illustrations of a busty woman getting like choked out. And like, so he's like taken all those. He's made his own like his creepy porn that he made of himself and of some of his victims. Like, so he's got just all of this, and he'll just go up in that treehouse and he'll just look at it for hours.
And they're and people and his kids are like, that's where Daddy goes to spank.
That's where Daddy goes, and I guess everyone was cool with it. No one was like, why does Dad have his own treehouse?
Well, I mean, by that point, because like he got married in like what, the 70s?
Mm-hmm.
So by the 2000s, his kids have to be like in their 30s.
I don't know when he makes the treehouse.
That's a good point.
But I know he spends a lot of time there, and that's where all of his trophies go. So, and I think that's also part of him.
I also don't want to think about what their home life was like, because if he wants that much control over like this neighborhood, just imagine like his family and
his kids have said like it was very normal. It was a really
yeah. Oh my God.
Everyone,
and he was really good at just maintaining the facade.
Everyone who's ever met him outside of getting murdered by him has been like, he's a really normal guy. He's like very,
you'd never see it coming.
He doesn't show it at all. He compartmentalizes completely. So back to some newspaper puts out this like 30 years since the Otero family killings. And BTK's like, haha, I want attention again. I'm sick of killing dogs. So he sends a letter and he's like, I'm BTK. And he starts like this weird scavenger hunt media chase thing where he'll send like a newspaper like some weird riddle, and then they'll run somewhere and they'll find like a weird little gift wrapped box, and there's like a creepy little doll that's like pretend bound up inside, and then like a note from BTK with like some jewelry from someone he killed. And the media's like, weird. Look at this thing. And he does this thing that I fucking can't stand, where he sends cereal boxes with like notes in them because he's a serial killer. And that's obnoxious, but like,
it's like, we get it.
We get it. But so he's doing this whole puzzle thing with the news, and he's talking to the police like through notes at this point. And he's like
a fucking high schooler.
Like, yeah, he's passing notes like, does everybody like me? Or is everyone interested in me? And
have you thought about me lately?
And he sends them a note saying, hey, if I send you a disc of my, I assume, poems, I don't know what dumb shit he's got that he needs to put on his fucking disc, but he's like, if I send you a disc, can you, like, trace that at all? And the police look at each other like, no, not at all. I don't trace what? And he's like, good enough for me. So he sends them this disc.
Which is,
and they're like, oh, after
all
30 years of searching, we'll get your IP address, you dumb fuck.
10,000 years.
So they trace it back to this computer that was last used by Dennis Rader, the president of the Congregation of the Christ Lutheran Church. And they're like, holy shit.
Gotcha.
So they arrest this dumb ass in February of 2005. He confesses and like never stops talking because I think this is what he wanted all along, was to have someone to tell his shit, because he just is like, oh, how much detail do you want?
Therapist.
Oh my God. So he starts confessing. The police announce it to the public to be like, we caught him. We did it. He didn't completely turn himself in.
30 years.
He pleads guilty, which means there's not really much of a trial. Pretty much there's his whole confession, which you can watch on YouTube. And then there's the families of the victims. They can go up and they can give their statements. And they're all heartbreaking. It would be so frustrating. But he gets 10 consecutive life terms, which is like 100,000,007 years in jail. I don't know.
And I would be like, and that's one more than you need.
And yeah, and that's that.
If I was a family member, I was one of the family members,
I would launch myself.
Like, yeah. Bodily. With animalistic ferocity.
Yes. They'd be like, she started frothing at the mouth. We tested her for rabies.
Yeah, and we saw her jump, and gosh, there was just nothing we could do about
it. My gun stopped working, and I kind of like forgot how to see. I don't know.
I smelled toast for a second, then he was dead.
He was dead, and I was like, ah.
And it's like, does everyone else in this courtroom agree on this statement?
But yeah, that is the story of BTK. He is in jail.
He's a dumb fuck.
He's a dipshit. He thought he was smart, and he ain't smart.
He's a dumb shit. He's an asshole, and he's gonna burn in hell.
Do you have a sibling story to take us out of this funk?
I do not. Do you?
I do not. No, I don't.
Well, let me see. I have a list of ones that I've compiled. No, I think we've told all the ones that I have here.
Bumtown.
Bummer.
Well, you know what that means.
No, sorry. I just saw the one where it was like, McCall farts and looks at the back wall.
Wait, what?
The one where like you farted and everyone like did the thing where they looked around. You were like, who could that be? And you look at the back wall. I looked behind
me and no one was there, and I was like, fuck. Oh my.
Nothing's happened to you recently? Nothing exciting? No big purchases that you've made and like are really proud of?
I bought a house. But, like, we're still going through the whole shit to, like, do that.
But that's a sibling story. House. It's your first house.
It's a house. I have one, kind of. I haven't moved into it yet. Maybe it'll be good. I don't know. I'm afraid.
No more apartment.
Woo! No more fish apartment! This apartment has not stopped smelling. Now it smells like, I think it's like warped. I don't know. Now I'm kind of worried all my possessions smell like it too. Like we're going to move into this new place and I'm like, oh my God, it's still here. Is it us?
After a few washings, your clothes and stuff will have
But what about the couch?
Then you can fumigate that.
I don't know, man. Have you ever worried, like, you ever go to someone's house and there's like a smell and you're like, when people come to my house, do they smell this smell? Like, is it like a...
Yeah. No, I know what you're talking about.
Want to be that person.
I don't know why, but no matter how hard I try, every place that I live in, it smells like boys live in. Does that make any sense?
You're a boy!
And because I'm a boy, and I know that Charlie's a boy, but it's like, you know what I'm saying? Where it's like, we have like a stank, and I hate it, because it's like, I have plugins everywhere. I have room mist in every room so that the place smells nice. And yet every time I feel like we walk in and I'm like, this just smells like two BO blasting boys live here.
BO blasting.
So I get so self-conscious to have people over because I'm like, oh, between the Doge and my boy smell, this place probably reeks. My poor little limoncello wallflower is not
doing
enough.
all it can.
No, it's not. It's Saltwater Breeze is the current
good.
one.
Do you shower?
It's not. I actually don't like that.
Not. Do you shower regularly or?
I shower every day, sometimes twice a day.
Jesus, what about your shoes? You always had a shoe foot smell.
I've always that's a never-ending story. That's a long-term tenant. My feet just stank.
Yeah.
Like they just do. I go in with purpose. Like you believe in trickle down Reaganomics, where like your soap will just maybe hit your feet, and that's fine. I will pick my feet up. I will take the soap to them, and like Jesus with his disciples will wash my feet. And
it has done. And my feet smell like roses.
And I take that pine tar. I have the Dr. Squatch.
Jesus Christ.
That's a sponsorship I'll take because
I would love that. Oh my God.
I feature their products fiercely. I get their shit every couple months, honey. I love their shit. I take that pine tar and I scrape that shit on my foot and my feet stank.
What's wrong with you?
Except no, they stank. Funny enough, they stank in the wintertime. Because in the summertime, I wear flip-flops almost exclusively.
Air it out.
So my feet are just aired out all the time. I rarely wear closed-toed shoes in the summertime.
Interesting. I don't know what to do about that. All I know is, I'm sorry, I don't think you smell.
I have a sibling story.
Oh God, what is it?
I just remembered I have a sibling story. It happened this weekend. So I was in a drag show and I was doing 2 new numbers at the drag show. One I did was Hail Holy Queen, specifically the version from the Sister Act.
Oh.
Where it starts out very choral and everything, and then it kind of goes into a more fun version. And for my fun version, so I came out and I was playing up a shtick of coming out in a full nun outfit. And I came out with a music stand that I had bought that day. I went to a Guitar Center and I bought a music stand just so I could have it. I set it up and I put on my glasses. So I had my regular glasses on so I could actually fucking see what I was doing. But I had them down here and I played up a choral director kind of thing and cued the sound person to and then I directed the audience. And then once the song started, I kind of knocked over the music stand. And then I went to take my nun habit off. And I took my nun habit off. And I had this red little short wig under it. And the wig went with the nun habit. Gone. I was snatched bald.
By myself.
And by myself. And it's it would have gone over better if I just didn't have the headband that I had under. Because I had a headband that's supposed to keep your wigs on. Well, got fat lot of good that fucking did. My wig flew the coop. Oh. And, so the wig flew off. But once I realized that the wig wasn't on, I'm not that person that's going to be stop the number. So I just kept going. Oh, yeah. I was just whatever. So I took my headband off. I threw it and I was whatever. Now it's just my hair. Whatever. It's fine. I'm still dancing. I still look fierce. My makeup is amazing. And I'm lip syncing this because I have been practicing this I do a 30-minute walk around our neighborhood. I'm walking down a main thoroughfare. You haven't been out here yet, but there's a main thoroughfare on 13th where it's I'll be walking and I'm doing Hail Holy Queen with hand motions and everything. And I'm sure people are that's a crazy
homeless
person.
Man.
When really it's no, that's just a drag queen practicing. And so, no, I'd been practicing. So it's I still know all my words. It wasn't I did not show any sign of being thrown. So that is what I will give myself my props for, is that I do not get thrown that easy. So I threw that headband off. And then one of the queens at the show who was helping with tips, she was a lovely person. She kind of grabbed the wig because she had come backstage and saw that I had planned to have that on. Because really, the wig went with the habit. So like people didn't know that the wig was like
even there.
Exactly. People might not even know the wig was even there. But then she grabbed the wig and I was like, oh, thank God. So I came over and she was like, you want it? And I was like, yes. And she helped me put it back on. And then I kind of popped it back on and the audience went wild again. And it's like, because I'll tell you what, the audience does love, like if a wig does go off, they do love a recovery. They do love a recovery. And that was fun.
That was a good one.
So that was my wig story. That was my sibling story. And I have another show coming up. It was so funny. I was backstage and they were like, Logan, what are you doing on this date? I was like, I don't know. And they're like, you're booked.
Done.
I was like, great. So I do have another show coming up on the 5th here.
Oh, the 5th of August.
August. And then I have another show, the brunch show, on the 20th. So if you're in the Fargo area,
come see girl number 3.
Check it out. Look up drag brunches in your area. Let me just, it's like, there is actually a name for it. Give me just a second to plug it, if you wouldn't mind, McCall.
That is okay.
Yeah, if you're in the Fargo area and you're interested, check out the Sanctuary Event Center in downtown Fargo. We're doing a drag brunch. Come and support your local performers.
I love drag brunches.
It is a $35 ticket price, but that does include, I believe, a brunch. Like it does include a bottomless brunch. You can review more details at the website.
I went to my friend's bachelorette party, and she did a drag brunch. And we get there, and I am drinking. Like, I came here to get fucked and to watch drag queens. And all of the other women...
You came there to get fucked?
No, like fucked up.
I know what you're talking about.
And everyone else is like the waiter comes over and I'm like, bottomless mimosas, yeah. And everyone else is like, I'll have like a mimosa, like I'll have one. And like it gets to me, and there was a moment where I could choose a healthier path, and I said no, nay, I want. Keep them coming. And
because you know because you know that one mimosa they're going to bring you is like 10% champagne, 90% orange juice. It's a little murky, as I like to say.
I had so many. And then I got like this salmon salad because I was drunk and I was like, I'm going to be healthy. And then I got it, and then I was like, ew.
And you said, ew.
And I didn't eat it. And then we went to this mini golf place afterward, like...
Can Wonderland?
Yes, yeah. And I ordered a full meal of chicken tenders and fries. And nobody else got anything, and they all sat there and watched me shove, like, I don't even know, I look like I was so drunk, and I was like, you guys is so good.
You were like Cookie Monster.
I was. It was so good. It's the best chicken tenders have ever been. And then I had a fucking shake. I was unhinged. And then I got a headache and had to go lie down.
And then you went to the wedding and...
did the same thing.
Except
worse. McCall got unhinged that night.
McCall, you like to party. You do like to party.
Too much. And then when I party, I'm like, why do I feel so bad?
You are one of two minds. Like, you are either like, I am going to party and I will drag all of you to hell with me. Or you are like, I am not touching a fucking thing this whole night.
I am already in bed. Please do not look at me.
Yeah. There are one of two minds there.
Yes. But now that we have lightened your mood from that very sad hour and a half we put you through.
Except for the end. Wasn't it funny how embarrassing BTK got captured because he's a stupid fucking idiot?
What a pussy. BTK stands for baby talk.
Big,
Oh, shit. I should have planned something.
God. Yeah, no,
It's
shit.
so hard. The K is so hard.
Bitch, tit.
Kangaroo.
What's it? Kangaroo.
That's all
Kangaroo.
I got.
Bitch, tit. Bitch, tit,
Bitch, tit,
kangaroo.
kangaroo. But if you want to send us one of the true crime cases you would like me to cover, or a horror movie you want us to talk about, or a sibling story that we will shout out on the podcast, you can email us at livingscarypodcast@gmail.com or living
Unless you like us free-forming.
Yeah, well, we can find one ourselves.
I would say, unless you like us free-form finding one.
We're also at livingvicariously@gmail.com. We have a Twitter, we have a Tumblr, we have an Instagram and a Facebook, Living Scary Podcast. You should follow us, and you should tell us you like us, and tell your friends, and rate and subscribe, or whatever platform you're listening on. Thank you. And respond to my polls when I poll stuff. Guys. Damn it.
Guys, get it
together, you guys. But yeah.
We love you.
We do. All 8 of you.
And if you're in the area, come to the Sanctuary Drag Show and all other drag shows, because drag is important.
It is. It's really cool. You can get so drunk, you guys.
And it is not a fucking crime.
No, it is not. What the fuck?
All right. Shall I take this out?
You should.
All right. Episode 100. Oh, boo.